Lower your shields and surrender your ships. We will add your biological and technological distinctiveness to our own. Your culture will adapt to service us. Resistance is futile.
Welcome to Natural Born Talents. Today's subject is the Borg real? Now, of course, Hollywood always puts out some sort of hint of what's really happening within the Matrix and outside of the Matrix in order to prepare people psychologically for what's likely to come down the pipeline someday in the Matrix. And of course, Hollywood is run not by the people of Hollywood, but by the moralistic angels, Satan, and other dark beings throughout the Matrix, as described in previous videos. Having said that, let's take a look on how all this started and how the Borg came to be within the Matrix as it is today. So for thousands of years, the Matrix did not have any kind of advanced technology. At least that's what we were told. There is evidence that there were ancient civilizations with very advanced technology before the age of angels, which essentially started humanity at a very primitive level when they came in. Now, of course, there's evidence to that technology. It's all buried under all kinds of pyramids and the like, but new technology generally did not come in until the 1920s or 30s. So when you stop and think about that, you have hundreds, if not thousands of years of very primitive civilizations suddenly advancing to cell phones where you can communicate with anyone all over the world within 100 years. For example. Sounds a bit odd, doesn't it? Now, there were all kinds of rumors of various countries finding UFOs and reverse engineering their technology in order to provide us with the tools we have today. Some of that may be true. And again, when my ancestors take me on the other side and show me what's going on, I can confirm that, yeah, in certain ways, that is very accurate. However, it's not the whole story. If you go back thousands of years when the age of angels began, the energy of this world was pretty low, which meant things like magic and things like advanced technology were not available. So the struggle of humanity was at pretty much a primitive state. This gave the angels the chance to create a way of struggling for humanity based on moralism versus decadence. Some people call it good versus evil, but good in this case really means moralism, which is not much better than decadence, and I'll get to more of that in a minute. So for thousands of years, without magic or technology or any of these higher energies, the angels could play off the 7 sins or other games that they like to play with humanity to struggle against these two forces. And of course, the moralistic angels, Gabriel, Michael, Uriel, and Raphael being on one side, plus some other angels, of course, and Satan, Mephistopheles, Baal, Beelzebub, and all the other demons and devils fighting on the other side. Now, for thousands of years, this used to be a tug of war between one side and the other. And the answer to one side or the other was that neither was good for humanity. Both moralism was to play off of decadence, and decadence was to play off of moralism. And it was supposed to be two forces to balance humanity to come to the conclusion of love, which is, of course, what Christ and the other higher beings all represent. If you have trouble with something that is decadent or moralistic, one side or the other, just ask yourself, is it about love or is it about someone's agenda, whether moralistic or decadent? Well, what does this have to do with the Borg? Since the 1930s, there's been an enormous amount of increase on spotting all kinds of UFOs and alien abductions and the like, especially recently with the government finally admitting that they do have these objects running around. Most likely most of them are probes, but have been running around in the Earth's airspace, and they've been documented all over the world at this point in time. Having said that, the angels are perfectly aware of what these beings are, and they are using them against humanity. And when I mean the angels, of course, I'm talking about the moralistic angels, the fallen angels, the devils, and the demons. And the reason you're seeing so much insanity in this world at this time is because the matrix is beginning to collapse. It's ending. And therefore, the forces of decadence, Satan and the other demons and devils, and the moralistic angels have teamed up to pull humanity down into the inferno as far as it goes. So what does that have to do with the Borg? Well, they're using some of these aliens, and most likely what is known as the Greys, possibly others, to where the technology was extracted from and given to humanity as a tool to make humanity weaker so the aliens and the so-called Borg could take over. You may ask, what evidence is there for this? And lo and behold, we have people staring into cell phones or computers or to TV screens. We have people being injected with very dubious forms of medicine that is making people sicker or weaker or even killing them. We have man-made viruses running around on the planet. We have people who are being forced to stay home longer in order to stick to their cubicles or their tiny apartments in order for the Borg, so to speak, to drain people. So who are the Borg exactly? Are they aliens? Well, not exactly. It seems to me, from looking from the outside in, that the aliens have aligned themselves with the part of humanity that is very corrupt, the deep state, mostly politicians and the like, and as well as using aliens and alien technology to create this dystopia. Now, the dystopia is really going to be created for only what is known as the baby souls and their followers, their sycophants. In other words, the egotists that you see, when you look at a politician, for example, you know that they're lying, you know that they're cheating, they just want the privileged life and the money. These are what we call the suits, and the suits basically are the ones that are controlling the game, but the people who are controlling them, of course, are the angels and the Satan and all these other beings that are using them. And these suits who are in technology, big pharma, politics, and the like, are using these three forces as well as others to manipulate the rest of humanity. On the other side of the suits are the ones running around being used as pawns, and they usually wear blue hair or purple hair or something like this, and they're on the decadent side. The suits are on the moralistic side, and the others are the decadent side, and they play off each other. The suits are controlling the decadent people or the disturbed people, as you might have seen in some of the mass shootings you've seen in the news recently. That was all manipulated by the suits. And the people who carried out the mass shootings were, of course, just taking orders from these parts of government. Now, the government does plan to keep inflation high in the United States as well as gas prices high, so you stay home, especially during the summer. And this will, of course, allow them to get more energy from all of you to empower them. That's how slavery works. The only reason you have slavery is so someone can have power over someone else, not just to control them, but to take their energy from them, their life force from them. Good souls don't do this. Good souls and loving souls naturally can exchange all kinds of energy with other people in order to spiritually move forward. The baby souls and the corrupt souls and all of these others cannot do that. So what we're seeing at this time is the forces of the decadent and the forces of the moralistic teaming up to pull everyone down to this Borg-like state of being. If they succeed, it won't last long either way, because all of the good souls will escape one way or another. And every single cult I have ever seen, including the Borg cult, eventually collapses. And the reason for this is because corrupt souls, without something like angels or devils or the like controlling them, get so corrupted in their psyche and their soul collapse. And once the suits begin to collapse, so does the rest of the entire Borg. They can't sustain themselves without pure energy. And this is what the real problem is, that why so many people are in such pain right now. These two forces are pulling everyone down, and the insanity is beginning to seep in. What you're feeling, basically, with all of the angst and agony that you may wake up with in the morning, is actually the darker side of humanity being pulled into the inferno, or to a Borg cube, if you like, or anything like that kind of dystopia, a darker side of the Matrix, if you will. Now, the transition is about the angels taking those souls to where they need to struggle, and the rest of us who are loving beings to move away from them and to be separated from them. That's why you're seeing such a huge divide in humanity. And when this gets into politics, a lot of people are making the mistake of jumping to the left or jumping to the right. Now, right now in the United States, the left is on the dark side, and the right is more or less on either the moralistic or on the good side, generally speaking. And if this pisses anyone off, I'm sorry, but that's the fact. I will remind people that the angels can easily jump to the right or the conservative side and play the same game there and make everybody on the right dark and everybody on the left good. It's just how the game is played. The answer to that is to reject pretty much both, or to take what parts of each side has merit and incorporate it into your being to become a more loving being, and discard the things that are not about love, things that are about control, manipulation, weakening, etc., etc. So having said that, what to do about this really is going to depend on the individual, but I can make some suggestions. First of all, if you can point out either on the left or on the right in politics the lies and deceptions they're trying to achieve. They're getting so desperate now, they're really just pushing every kind of lie and deception that you can come with. That's why you're seeing the politicians come out with the most insane concepts you can, because they're trying to hang on, because they know that they're being pulled in. They just don't know how to grow up. So instead of coming clean with the rest of humanity, they just get sucked down to the inferno and trying to pull everyone down with them to make them feel good. Having said that, the rest of the people who are good, this summer is likely going to be a lot of crazy events coming out. So if you can stay away from things like cities, take your loved ones out on trips that are in nature, and stay away from cell phones, computers, and the like, you probably will feel a lot better. Especially when gas prices are going to be so high that you can't drive around, you might want to pick up a couple of bicycles and take your family or friends on bike rides or camp trips with bicycles and the like, in order to stay away from technology, or at least refresh yourself from technology the best you can, as well as not being pulled into the likely dubious events that are going to probably unfold this summer. Now, from what I can see, I think most of you realize by now that most of the inflation you see in the United States, the high gas prices, all of these things are to manipulate people's movements. And so if you're connected to anyone who is a suit or one of the other sides of decadent people, you might want to distance yourself from them as much as possible. If you're dealing with them, we call them energy vampires, as I have said in other videos. These are the parasites of the planet. And again, I tried to remind them that if you continue to play this game, what can happen is you can have your soul collapsed or even broken. And if any of you have seen people or have worked with mentally impaired, that's what I mean. Those are the souls that collapsed, that broke under the strains of ego and the like. They corrupted themselves to the point that they have to be broken in order to start them over again. And that takes, of course, thousands of years. Some of those will go back to the world of the angels, where they repair them and start all over again with them. But the other ones that are so corrupt cannot be undone. And again, these people have to will good. They have to will love in order for them to stop behaving the way that they have. And from my experience, 99.9% of the time, they don't. So you can't argue with these people. You can't help these people. The best you can do is disconnect yourself from these people. But these people will use things like computers, medicines, food, bad food, junk food, and the like to weaken you or to control you. So again, try to live a healthy lifestyle, lots of exercise out in nature, a healthy diet, loving friends, and so on and so forth. And this will keep you away from the baddies as much as possible. Now, I can't give you a date on when the transition comes. It's very frustrating. I wish I knew. But if I try to give you a date, the angels will delay the transition even further just to prove me wrong or anyone else who makes such a prediction wrong, to confuse everybody, to make everybody not trust their higher self, not trust their inner love, etc., in order for them to play the game. But from my understanding, the angels do have to leave. The higher beings, the ancestors, the gods, the good angels, the loving angels, what we call the Christ angels, and them will return to clean up the planet and help those loving people who do not want to exist in some stupid dystopia where they have nothing to do with the insanity on the planet at this time, will be allowed to play in the new games, which are very loving and very playful and very, very spiritually nourishing. And it's a lot more fun. Trust me, I have visions of that all the time, even today. Of course, I have the Borg and Satan and some of the dark angels pulling me all the time because I'm trying to get people out. But most of the people in my life, in my childhood and family and friends, most of them are likely not going to make it unless they get their head out of their behind and stop denying and stop willing to stay in the Matrix. Because the major problem we're seeing now is that most of the souls in the Matrix have gotten too used to the way the Matrix works for them. And the rest of humanity, of course, is here just to struggle within the Matrix. But those who got stuck in the Matrix tend to want to stay, and so they live in denial, and or they begin to lie to all of the people because they want to stay, because life is easy for them. Again, I'll say this over and over, the Matrix is designed for the baby soul. And it does seem like the angels and the devil and all of these other beings are using technology, the suits, and the decadent to attack pretty much anyone right now. And that's why I think a lot of people are in pain. And I'm no exception. On a daily basis, I'm dealing with some sort of attack from somebody somewhere. Whether it's through a computer, whether it's somebody I work with, it doesn't matter. And again, the insanity does end, and peace on this planet return. Or at least, if peace doesn't come to this planet and we have a third world war, the loving beings will leave. Native Americans had said there's no such thing as death. There's only changing of worlds. But the point with that is, what world do you change to? Do you change to the dystopia that the Borg and the rest of the dark side of humanity are heading for, or do you go back to your ancestors, the gods, and the other loving beings throughout the universe? And my ancestors, I gotten a lot of hate mail, mostly people from the left and stuff, who don't like me putting out these videos. And my ancestors even went to them and pointed out to their psyche. He said, look, if you want to follow that crap, go ahead and do so. And we're not trying to threaten you or anything, but if you do follow that kind of hate, that kind of propaganda, that kind of narrative or brainwashing games that the government is using to disrupt humanity at this time, you're only going to lose and end up in one of the worst hells I have ever experienced anywhere. I mean, hell is awful, but the Borg is even worse, because once you're in there, they tell you what to do, when to get up, when to eat, when to serve your purpose. It's an awful experience. And if you try to fight it, they knock you down with this really irritating technology that makes you sick. They will inject you with all kinds of poisons. and the like. I don't recommend that experience. But again, a lot of people, you can scream this in their conscience over and over again, and they just won't listen to you. You say, okay, good luck, you know. But again, for the others who don't want to go there, the loving people, just keep practicing love. Look for the people that you can help in life, who will listen to love, who will listen to play, joy. Again, the dark side of the Matrix is, of course, dark. So anything dark is going to be connected to this Borg-like dystopia. So that's, of course, a dead giveaway. So anybody spewing out fear or telling you to do this or telling you to do that because the world's going to end tomorrow, I mean, good luck. The angels, the higher beings, the gods could lay waste to the Borg and this planet within a day if they felt like it. But they don't do that because they know that's not the game that's being played right now. All the darkness in this planet could be erased in a very short time by some of these higher beings. And it's very, very foolish to follow darkness. Darkness has no power except within its world. That's why everybody's pulling everyone down into that dystopia, so they have power over you. And this is the way that they're doing it, through these technologies, through these manipulation, these lies, these fake medicines, these junk foods, these UFOs that seem to be spewing out all kinds of plumes and stuff. Who knows what they're trying to change this world into, and so on and so forth. Now, the angels are perfectly aware of them. They can manipulate the UFO. The UFO people are not in charge. Neither are the suits. Neither are the decadent. It's the angels and is Satan and the like. And when the higher beings come along to take away those away from humanity, it's a no contest game. The angels, those angels and Satan are no match for any of those other beings. So again, my best advice to any of you is just stay away from those things that drain you, that are negative, and try to, you know, play with your friends, play with your loved ones, especially if you have children. Play with them because they're going to be in the transition. And of course, right now we're seeing the dark side of the Matrix attacking children with all kinds of nonsense. And they're trying to, because they're pure beings, and of course that's where their main source of energy is going to be right now. And you might want to keep them away from dark narratives at schools and things like that as much as possible. And instead of allowing them to play in certain questionable clubs or sports activities, you might want to do it yourself, or organize groups of people that you can trust in order to carry those physical needs out on your own, and so on and so forth. There are many other ways to fight that, but if I continue, this video will take forever. So if you have any questions or suggestions, please leave them in the comment section below, and I wish you best of luck. My instincts are telling me that this summer could be a rough one. So again, stay away from the negative side of humanity as much as possible, as well as the negative side of technology as much as possible, to keep your sanity in check. And I wish you all the best. I can go into more detail on this subject and may make a more detailed version of this video later if it's needed. But again, please, if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. And thanks again for watching.